Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 42 of the Knuckle Sammich podcast, the official MMA podcast with sauce on the side. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Thomas R. Shackelford.
Hello again.
And our producer, as always, Mr. Leighton Pip Shaventone.
I can announce again that Thomas is back to his thieving ways. I gave him another movie last week with Whiplash, and once again, shooting like an old VHS porno against all his buddies. So I guess it'd be the drill. I'll give him a movie, and then 2 weeks later I'll get it back.
2 weeks is a good time. I feel like it's a good time.
It's one movie.
Do you sit down and watch a movie like every 5 minutes?
I've already watched it. I just
you
didn't
have?
bring it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But no, because his buddy has it right now.
Yeah. I had to let my buddy.
He's passing it around like old porno, dude.
Didn't you tell him that you were going to give him a movie about a drummer and he thought you were giving him Drumline with Nick Cannon?
Nick Cannon
He did.
Drumline.
He didn't know. I was giving him a good drum movie called Whiplash.
So you've seen both Whiplash and Drumline?
I have not and will not ever see Drumline.
You never watched Drumline?
I've seen Drumline once. It was awful.
No.
I watched Drumline. I thought it was a good movie.
No.
I thought it was cool.
No.
It was whenever I was younger and I was fascinated by them playing the drums.
And you thought, wow, this is cool. I want to do this one day.
The best thing Nick Cannon ever did was Mariah Carey.
Oh, okay.
I mean, anything other than that, I've never been a Nick Cannon fan.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah. What an interesting guy. that Nick Cannon.
Dealing with Mariah Carey crazy is probably worth it just to be with Mariah Carey.
Yeah. I think.
I mean that the crazy to hot ratio on girls is usually it's just the juice usually isn't worth the squeeze, but I feel like in that scenario it is.
It would be an all-time circus at all times.
I would love to speak for Mariah Carey. I should do too shy if I could.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think about Whiplash? What? I never even heard of the movie.
Here's why I've heard of it. The producer will probably correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that it was in the same Academy year as Foxcatcher.
Yes.
And I remember Foxcatcher was pretty good. It definitely wasn't the favorite at the time. But I remember kind of the two dark horses were Whiplash and Foxcatcher. And I'll be honest, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and the Schultz story is one of the craziest I've ever seen. But movie to movie, Whiplash is about 1,000,000 times better.
Well, Sean, one correction. I do believe the same year, but Foxcatcher was a dark horse in the sense that it didn't get nominated for the award.
It didn't at all?
No, Steve Carell got nominated for Best Supporting.
Did Whiplash get in the nomination?
Yes, Whiplash did.
Okay.
Steve Carell got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, with J.K. Simmons won for Whiplash.
The bald dude, right?
So Whiplash is kicking the shit out of Foxcatcher here in 2017.
How did anybody beat Steve Carell that year for supporting actor? Because I know I watched that movie, and it was like, okay, so I call it the Spider-Man effect. Whenever you see a guy and you expect him to act that way, and it's like Tobey Maguire, anything other than Spider-Man, you're like, what the hell? Steve Carell was like not that goofy guy, and he made me hate him. There was like a full year after I watched that movie that I legitimately hated Steve Carell.
And then you watched The Office, you're like, I love this guy.
Okay, I'm back on board. I love Steve Carell.
They said during that movie that a lot of the dudes that they brought in to consult and stuff, a lot of the former wrestlers, like they had a hard time being around Carell because he was so DuPont-like, it was like weirding them out. So
he nailed it.
He nailed the part. I just think the story maybe wasn't. What was the front runner that year for the Academy Award?
Birdman won that year.
Birdman, and that's I actually do love that movie too. So what a year for kind of weird movies at the Academy, right? Because Birdman was
that was a really good year for movie. A lot of movies were really good. The movie called Boyhood, it's really good too. I told you to watch that one on Netflix. But that movie, J.K. Simmons, I'm one of the people who believe that movies today can be just as good as movies 30 years ago. They're just not they're not 30 years old because of Godfather, not 30 years old yet. But J.K. Simmons is one of the best performances I've ever seen. That movie.
If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend it. It was
Whiplash?
It was one of the best movies I've seen in a long time.
Every time you say that J.K. Rollins, I keep
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Okay, I keep thinking of Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. No, it was intense. It was good. Miles Teller was very good. J.K. Simmons was very good. All around, just a great movie.
Did J.K. Simmons scare you?
Listen, hold on, listen. There ain't no band teacher that's ever gonna slap slap me, okay? I'll whoop a band teacher's ass.
You would not have fucked with J.K. Simmons in that movie.
You give me the toughest band teacher that's ever taught band, and I'll trash that guy.
He would have made you cry into a ball. Let's say a high school wrestling coach would have been with the tenacity and fire
high
of
school
J.K. Simmons.
Wrestling coach.
Okay,
would
you
actually knows wrestling holds.
Would you have quit the team?
No.
Or would you have stuck on like Miles then?
No, I'd
not.
have sucked it up. Hey, my wrestling coach wasn't a walk in the park.
Yeah, well, was he throwing chairs at your head?
You thought he might.
But he didn't.
No.
This guy did.
I think I may have to watch this movie just to
It's
check it out.
good. It's good. You'll
See,
like
whenever
it.
you're talking about Whiplash, I wasn't thinking about a high school band teacher. I was thinking about like legitimate
No.
Whenever you're talking about drummer, I thought it would be following a drummer of some big band.
No. And the other thing that's great about this movie is it's based around jazz music. So I'll watch a movie about an orchestra or an ensemble or something if they're playing good music. But I ain't watching no Nick Cannon in a high school band playing.
You watch Drumline, you get back.
Rah rah rah. The Tiger Fight song. That's not
Hey,
me.
watch Drumline, you get back to me.
I ain't watching drum. That came out when I was in high school. I actually remember a kid. I had shop class with him. He's telling me how badass and how pumped up it got him. He used to, it got him pumped up like he was watching a movie before football games. I'm like, Drumline with Nick Cannon?
We had a buddy in high school that before baseball games would watch. Crap, the movie with The Rock, Walking Tall.
Walking Tall.
He's Walking Tall on baseball games.
Oh, God.
What a way to get fired up.
Oh, that's bad.
They're watching 300 before wrestling matches.
Yeah. Hey, you got to do what you
You
got
watched
to do.
300?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's a good show.
I remember the day before the state championship game match, whatever, he made mom go out and buy it on Blu-ray. So you watch it in the hotel room.
Between matches, I was just in there grinding, watching 300, dude. You got to get, you have your things. You got to get pumped up one way or another. All right. So, guys, this show, we got sidetracked again for about the 500th time. We do have a very, very interesting story for you. The Royal Rumble was actually this weekend, so we're going to play off of that. We have a very good, I'm assuming it's good. I haven't actually heard this yet. So, this story with Mr. Shackelford, and then we will break down the fights. We'll talk about last weekend, Ryan Bader being crowned champ in Bellator, and we'll even talk about the ESPN card, the second ESPN Plus card that they have, headlined by Marlon Moraes and Rafael Asuncao. So, Leighton C., producer, you know what to do.
Welcome to the Knuckle Sammich Podcast with Thomas R. Shackelford, a sauce on the side production.
Alright, so as I promised you, we have a very, very funny story. I assume it's funny because it involves Mr. Shackelford and WWE Wrestling. So, in honor of the Royal Rumble, lay it on us.
I don't think it's that funny.
It involves you in pro wrestling, so I'm all ears.
It's going to be great.
I was super into pro wrestling, like unreasonable. But I remember 4th grade or 5th grade, I got
Time out. If you were into it at all, it was unreasonable.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Well, I don't know if I've told you before. I didn't have a lot of plans growing up. My only plan was to be like a professional wrestler.
That was the plan.
I mean, a little bit later in life, the thought of being a porn star might be in there, but I mean,
with a name like yours, you could have handled that.
Just in the realm of realistic possibilities, pro wrestler was way before a porn star. So I was super into wrestling, and that's really what got me into actual wrestling. Was I didn't know the difference. I just
How
showed
disappointed
up.
were you on your first day of wrestling practice?
It was different, but it wasn't so different because I was still learning some cool shit. So, like, it didn't bother me at all once I got there. But me and my buddies, we used to play around in the backyard and do the backyard wrestling. Well,
No. Not playing around. You've told me a story before of how you hit somebody with a wiffle ball bat that had barbed wire on it.
Yeah. we just goofy. Like a lot of that stuff's mostly fake. But so like sophomore year in high school, this little in our town, the Civic Center, they had this wrestling match, and it was like this pro wrestling thing, and but they're kind of popular now. But then it just didn't happen that often. So it was just these little kind of localish, like St. Louis-ish, Southern Illinois wrestling group that came around and did these shows. So we went and watched it. It was a great time, very fun. But I still had a couple buddies that were really into pro wrestling. So after the show, like, we got pictures with all these guys. I remember one dude's name was Chocolate Thunder. He was this big old black dude. He was like the funniest dude all night. His wrestling name was Chocolate Thunder. I loved that. We got pictures with him, and at the end they were saying that there was a training center around here.
Oh, no.
That anybody could go to, and like there's like a scout guy there, a talent guy, and like if you're good, you get like more classes, or like there's another day of the week for like invite only, I believe. So my buddy's like, yeah, let's go check it out. I'm like, oh, cool, I'll go check it out.
Where was this at?
It was in Olney, so roughly about an hour and a half from us, hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And at the time,
that's a hell of a trip for a 16-year-old kid.
Well, at the time I was
it's his dream, dude.
Well, it wasn't really my dream at this point.
It was your only plan.
The only plan you had was this,
and I really wasn't that into it anymore.
So, A, B, and C.
So I'd lost my passion for my plan, but my buddies were. I was psyched to go too. Like I've always, I thought it'd be really cool. So I think I might have been the only one with a car that might be able to make it there. Not even a car that could for sure make it the hour and a half back.
Gave you a prayer.
I had a prayer, and it was a 1982 Delta 88 Oldsmobile. Also the only car that could fit like 15 people in it. So me and I think my buddy Wiley, who was on the show, you talked to him, his band. I believe another one of our buddies, David, and I want to say there was maybe two more guys. I can't remember, but we scrounged together a couple bucks. We drove up to Olney, home of the White Squirrel. We get there, we're a little early, so we kind of
that could have been your nickname.
The home of the White Squirrel.
No, just White Squirrel.
The White Squirrel. So we get there, we just fart around town, and then we go up there, and it was pretty. Looking back, it is pretty funny, but at the time I thought it was the coolest shit. Like, it's in this upstairs, like downtown building. We went upstairs and they had this. It looked like fucking like you were watching Rocky. Like, there was a ring in the center, and like I think there was like a heavy bag and some workout equipment and stuff. The ring was like covered with. It was just a really ghetto looking ring, and there's an old dude there, and he's got us doing all these exercises, and we're jogging and stuff, and taking bumps and doing all this stuff. And like we did a full, like, it was like a 3-hour like warm up to learning moves to working out and stuff, and it was pretty cool, and I had a good time. But at that point I kind of knew pro wrestling wasn't going to be my thing. I had to figure something else out. But two of my buddies did actually wrestle for that guy. I believe Wiley and David actually did one or maybe a couple matches with that little show. So at least a couple of the guys that rode up all the way, you guys
didn't come home empty.
Put a 4-hour drive day in to go up and do one afternoon at the little pro wrestling training camp. He was. Oh man, I don't even think I told my parents where we were going. I was like, I'm gonna.
How do you explain that to anybody?
Mom, I'm 16 and a half, and I'm gonna go drive up to a pro wrestling
Plan
track.
A, B, and C involves me driving up to Olney, the home of like 5,000 people, to join the wrestling circus.
We'll continue. Back when you were 16, it was like what year ish?
Would have been 2000, I believe.
Okay, so like there's still a lot of 3-car families. What car did you drive to Olney?
My car.
What kind of car was that?
1982 Oldsmobile Delta 88. Oh, so you're making fun of my car?
That's awesome.
I was driving a 1982 car in the year 2000.
It's fine.
You're an asshole, Leighton.
Hey, that's not bad. It's only 18.
Yeah.
Hey, rule of
I
thumb
had
for a
20
young kid is that your car should be around your age.
Yeah, I had 96 car for while doing last year, so 22 years old.
There you go.
I'm just wondering what kind of car you had 16 year driving on it.
Well, my uncle gave it to me. I don't remember what, but he gave it to me for free. It was one of those the couch that we're sitting on now. That's about as big as the seats were. It had like those old. Think of it was an old. You know what I'm kind of.
Oh yeah.
Think of like the oldest, biggest car you've ever seen a grandma drive, and that's what it was.
And that was what your
That was what it was. Maybe I'll.
What'd you wear?
I think I just wore what I'd wear to regular wrestling.
You wear a singlet?
I think I even.
See, that's where you made the mistake, and you didn't. That's why you didn't get invited to the next level. Had you been rolling in there with some combat boots and a wrestling singlet and a luchador mask,
I said a mask, made some horns on the mask.
You know what? I think I wore my. I kind of was a big sweatpants guy in high school.
Oh no,
like
I knew
when
exactly
I worked
what
out.
you wore. That's why I asked.
So I wore my sweats and my t-shirt. One time I showed up to football practice and it was hot as hell. It was over the summer and I was wearing black sweatpants and a Danzig t-shirt, and we were doing our 40 times, and I was wearing my high top Chucks. And the coach got on to me. I ran like a 5 flat 40 or something.
You know, you had a 4 flat 40.
And then he was like,
PF5.
Thompson, I know you're faster than that. Why are you wearing those shoes? And I had to explain to him, like, in my house, you got one pair of shoes a year. And I wanted some high top Chucks. So I just did, I wasn't gonna play college football. 5 flat's not bad. What the hell?
The thing that I love about this the most is that you had already given up on the fact you wouldn't be a pro football player, but you still had the dream of being a pro wrestler.
The only dream. The only plan was this.
Look, you guys can make fun of me. I'm not shitting you. That was legit from about, I don't know, like 4th grade maybe, all the way up until probably about freshman year of high school, whenever I stopped really watching it because I liked real wrestling more at that point.
And you found girls. All the thing.
Yeah, I found girls. I would love to say I found girls. I wish that was the God's honest
He was
truth.
driving an 80s Oldsmobile, driving up to professional wrestling practice. He didn't find girls.
How many girls do you think were hanging out with me, Leighton?
Oh man. Well, maybe I thought one of mine would be
My
a diva.
sisters, when I had to drive my sisters to school in the morning, those were the chicks that hung out with me.
Yeah.
Sean is now married with 2 kids, so.
Yeah, because he gave up the dream of wanting to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah. Hey, you get married and have a family when you lose your WWF dreams.
Yeah, that was the backup plan, I guess. It was way down there, but it was a backup plan. All right.
Oh.
So this last weekend, we had Ryan Bader. I kind of called it back whenever he was like
You
5th
should have
guy.
put money on it.
I know. I couldn't find a place to put it.
true.
They give you the odds a lot of places, but like some of the places don't accept the bets. Ryan Bader able to pull it off. How surprised are we?
I'm definitely surprised because he was even on. I picked King Mo, who he knocked out in like 2 seconds.
He made this tournament look very easy.
He did. I mean, he knocked out King Mo, and I legit think it was like 15, 16 seconds. And then he just takedowns and smashes Matt Mitrione, and then he knocks out Fedor with the same exact punch that he knocked out King Mo with in about double the time, about 30 seconds. So
Yeah. Now, a bunch of people are trying to call that he needs to be fighting Bones Jones now because he made this tournament look so easy. I don't see how any way he could come back from what he did last time.
It's weird, dude. I guess you got to think of it like... I guess you got to think of it in terms of, is he a good fighter? Yeah, he's always been a good fighter. I mean, he's only got like 4 losses on his record. But because how dominant he's been in Bellator, does that mean all of a sudden he's at the same level as Bones Jones? I don't think so. I mean, me and you kind of talked about it when he fought Rumble Johnson and Bones Jones. He looked like he was actually scared to be there.
Yes.
Like he was doing anything he could to get the hell out of there. So that's a huge mental hurdle. That's a big mental hurdle, and I think at like physically wise and everything, he could compete with those guys. But if you just walk into a fight and as soon as a guy flicks a jab at you, you're in the fetal position against the cage. That you ain't gonna come back from that.
No.
Now that doesn't mean he's a bad fighter, and yeah, he could still beat a lot of those UFC guys, probably all of them, but. Jones and Cormier, but to say he not, let's be a little realistic. King Mo's weathered.
Yes.
Mitrione can't wrestle, and Fedor's 20 years past his prime. They're all good fighters still, and we all didn't expect him to win most of them, but no, I'm not ready for him to jump in and do a co-promotion against Bones,
No, I agree with that. Now, maybe one of the biggest disappointments, if not the biggest disappointment of the weekend, Aaron Pico.
Oh, yeah.
What a bummer, man. I don't know what to compare it to, because you know that this guy has all these tools. Like, he goes out there and he looks good. Like,
yeah.
If you just talk about boxing, he's a high-level boxer. If you talk about wrestling, he's the highest-level wrestler. And, there's just something there. I don't know if it's his age, which is kind of scares me, because he is young, and if he continues to suffer knockouts like this just because he's not ready to be in these promotions, they need to tone it back, because we've seen time and time again, once the chin's gone, and to be 22 years old and your chin be completely gone, I don't know where he stands right now.
And I think a lot of that it's got a little bit to do with youth. He does have I guess he's been boxing at Wild Card with Freddie Roach since he was 11. So the experience is there, the actual like sport experience is there, but I kind of blame wrestling, because this is what made him not be an Olympic wrestler too. He lost into a freaking. And again, if you guys are listening to this and gonna look it up, this is possible. But in his Olympic finals or the trials finals, he was in a 4-4 tie match. At the end, he loses on criteria for a tie. It was a tied match, and he loses. But basically, he lost the match. He was forward pressure the whole time, and that dude was like just countering him. And he basically, that's the only way the dude scored, was just countering, because Pico was so aggressive. And that's kind of what he's carried over here, because if you watch the fight, it's only about a minute long, but basically he's going straight at the guy, trading shots, hurts the guy, knocks the guy down. He kind of goes ape shit a little bit, tries to just murder the guy, and then they get up and they kind of get in one of these double collar tie slugfest, and then that dude,
like old Jack Dempsey brawl.
And that dude hits harder than hell, and that dude's record's like 16-4. Like, as far as just overall experience, that guy's way like triple the experience of him. But I think Pico said it the best because and this is one thing that I like about him is a lot of guys don't go to a press conference after that, but he did, and he just said, "Hey, I wouldn't be me if I didn't show up here." He's like, "I lost. Hands down, I lost. There's nothing to it." And they said, well, one of the reporters said something like, well, do you think you should go back down to take these really, really low pro level fights of guys that have only got 4 fights? And he said, that's fine if they think I need to do that. He's like, but I will legitimately hurt someone. He said, I'm not going to fight down to my opponent. I'm going to fight him just like if he's 30-0. And I think he's got a pretty big point there. You can't put a guy that's basically an Olympic level wrestler, been boxing at Wild Card Gym with Freddie Roach since he was 11. You can't put that guy against just a normal, hey, I've had 3 amateur fights and I'm 3-4 as a pro or something like that. So he's sitting at 4-2 right now, and both his losses have come from he hurt a guy really, really bad and just kind of went right after him and then got KO'd after that. So it really, to me, it's just a tactical, technical thing he needs to work on. But you're right. My first thought process was he's only 21 or whatever. But now we've seen him live be dropped absolutely dead 2 times.
Yes.
So he doesn't strike me as the guy that takes it. He doesn't strike me as a flow roll guy in the gym.
No.
So I imagine he's going
Kill or be killed.
pretty damn hard. Yeah. You gotta wonder, they say, well, most people peak, and even I hate when I see guys like Pico, they say it about him too, like, oh, well, he's still not going to peak till he's 30, 31, 32. His peak is probably within the next 3 years.
Absolutely.
You don't train at that high a level since you were 10 years old and still have the arc of a regular person.
No,
So-
I agree. And it's kind of like the lifetime of an NFL running back is how he is.
Exactly. That's
Because
a great.
they're running backs don't live past the age of 30 basically in the NFL because they take that beating day in and day out, and unfortunately for him, he's in that prime already, so he's not going to be able to go on forever like this. So
it's just not. It's just not.
it's not humanly possible.
Yeah.
I hope whatever it is they get figured out, because I don't want to see a guy who's that talented, fight 15 times.
It's really,
before he's 30.
another guy and not quite the same like breakout guy and big name, but another guy that's kind of happened to was Matt Serra. He fought a dude, Carl Parisian, when Carl was a super young up and coming guy, and Sarah was kind of looked as an over the hill even at this point, and Sarah knocked him dead and tried going ape shit on him, ended up punching himself out, and Carl ended up whipping him, and his career just started going and peaking, whereas Sarah was kind of middle of the road. He comes back, he does that season of The Ultimate Fighter, the comeback season, has some real close fights with Chris Lytle, I'm sorry. Then he fights St. Pierre for the title and knocks. He learned, and I think I remember him saying that. It was like he probably would have been at that title fight about 5 years sooner had he knocked out Caro. But when he got to the title fight, he made it count because he knew he already knocked him down. He had the power, but he didn't have to go crazy on him. He just had to let him get back up and just touch him a few more times.
Right.
So that comes with experience.
Right.
Again, that comes with, like I said, I think Pico has more than enough actual sports experience, but he's just got to get more of those like live, sometime, it took Sarah one time to learn. Hopefully Pico learns in two, because he ain't got too many more of those KOs.
No, I agree. And whenever you watch those two fights, like, there's no doubt in my mind that he's better than those guys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, any way you take the fight, like, he is more he's more talented than every one of these guys that he's fighting. It's just that there is just like that savviness to the sport that he doesn't necessarily have yet that these guys do. The only way he's going to do it is through experience. I would rather see him fight down a little bit, get that experience, and then come back up.
They may do it. I mean, Coker's really good with the fighters. So, yeah, they may pull him back. They may put him with a guy that's, 8-3, 8-4, maybe 5-0, something a little scared. Because that dude he fought's no joke. That dude's a tough-ass dude. And when I saw the fight, I thought, man, if he gets just into a straight slugfest with this guy, that guy's a big puncher. It could be a little trouble. I didn't think it would go like that. I didn't think he would knock the dude down, let him just not finish him, and then when the guy up, get into like, the old school, I can never remember his name, but it almost, Don Fry and the big old Japanese dude just clubbing each other.
That was the best fight ever.
That might we should do a play-by-play one night. We ought to just play that and just sit here with Leighton and play-by-play.
Yes, and we'll let Leighton see just immediate reaction. Just go off on it. That is his dream fight.
It's not Akiyama. I'll have to look that guy's name up sometime.
Yeah, it was a great fight. So we'll go ahead and talk about ESPN card, second ESPN Plus card that they put out, headlined by Rafael Assunção, Marlon Moraes. We're going to run through just the main card, give you the betting tips here, and all these odds are actually really, really close. And we'll start it off with the first fight. Johnny Walker opens as he now sits. These are as we're doing the podcast today on Thursday night. Johnny Walker, minus 210. versus Justin Levitt, plus 170. Who do you have in this fight?
We got to go Johnny Walker. I mean, that dude, he knocked old boy dead in his last fight. I can't remember it. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head.
You remember the face Leighton C made whenever I had him try that Johnny Walker in that blind taste test? That was one of my favorite things.
Didn't he? That was the night he woke up. Oh, he knocked Khalil Roundtree dead with an elbow. We're going Johnny Walker on this for sure. Levitt's kind of he was a big heavyweight, big fat heavyweight, and he lost some weight and came down. I explained to you, he is the, oh my God. I think he knows. So earlier, guys, when I explained this Justin Levitt to Drake, I said that he looks like the dark-skinned Kenny Powers. If you've ever watched Eastbound and Down, guess what this dude's nickname is?
What is it?
El Blanco.
No way.
He knows he looks like Kenny Powers.
Yes.
That makes me like him more.
Okay, yeah.
Because I just thought he looked like Kenny Powers and didn't know it.
Yeah.
But his name is Justin El Blanco.
His Kenny Powers' nickname is La Flama Blanca.
Yeah. So he know. Okay. That doesn't change our pick.
Yeah.
Johnny Walker's going to whoop this guy. But
don't fall in love with nicknames. I've done that before.
We now love Justin La Flama El Blanco Levitt because he absolutely knows he looks like Kenny Powers. That cracks me. I did not know that until just now.
That's
I did not know that.
That's awesome.
So Johnny Walker by KO, but we do love the ethnic Kenny Powers.
I like it. So next on the card we have Charles Oliveira minus 120. Very close odds with David Tamer minus 110. So you really don't have a dog here. Who do you like?
God, Tamer's tough. He's got a twin brother. They were both super high-level kickboxers. He's had a ton of success. He's only had one loss. But you know what? Charles Oliveira's been hot. And he's been... I don't know why. This is a gut pick. I'm going to go Oliveira. This is just... my gut. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. Really, his last loss was to Paul Felder. We know how tough Felder is. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be Oliveira's fight. He's a dude he was another one of those prospects that came in at like 20 and was just dusting people and then had a long stretch of off and on. But, man, there's something about him right now. I'm going to go Oliveira on that one. And I think he'll be the dog by fight night. I think he will be the dog because Tamer is a very hot prospect right now.
Yeah, I do like the Charles Oliveira pick. Like, if you look at a guy who, he doesn't have just a blow you out of the water record. I think right now he's 25-8. So, I mean, he does have a good record, but it's not phenomenal. If you look at his list of losses, which I always talk about guys who are like battle tested, they're hardened, they fought the best. Paul Felder, Ricardo Lamas, Anthony Pettis, Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar, Cub Swanson, Cowboy Cerrone, Jim Miller.
Yeah.
Spot the bad loss.
Yeah, he was like, it looks like he was like 12-0 or something. And then he has that Jim Miller loss, then a no contest, then Cerrone, then a couple wins, then Cub, then Frank. Dude, I mean, he's fought the best of the best. So when Holloway, Pettis, Lamas, when you think like, oh, he's hot and cold, those dudes were either in their prime when they fought him, in their like hottest streaks. You think of Cub Swanson. I remember that fight. I believe Cub hit him with a body shot that just crumpled him. But at the time, Cub was smashing everybody. So the dude's a fighter. He had some rough patches here and there against the best in the division. I'm going to go with him. I just got a feeling. That it's going to go good for him.
Yeah, I agree. I actually like Oliveira there, and I do hope that he becomes a dog. Because I honestly will not be surprised if he is by fight night. So next on the card, we actually have, if you guys are just the run-of-the-mill fan of MMA, we have a name you'll recognize, obviously, with Damian Maia. Damian Maya opens as a minus 175 favorite to Lyman Good, plus 145 dog. Damian Maya coming in on 3 straight losses. Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, Tyrone Woodley. Can he finally get over the hump and stay away from 4 straight losses?
He's the favorite.
He is the favorite.
Oh man, this Lyman Good. He's 20-4. His last fight, I don't even remember, but he knocked Ben Saunders to the next dimension. I think I'm gonna go the dog on this one, and I hate it. I love Damian Maya. This could be a fight where he walks out, jumps on this dude's back, and taps him in 10 seconds. But like you said, he's coming off 3 straight losses. This Lyman Good is huge. He's strong, a gigantic puncher. He's coached good. I think he's out of that Tiger Schulman camp out of New York. I'm gonna pick him because I do think that he's gonna give Maya a lot of problems, but the dog pick I feel good on. That kind of pushes her over the edge for me. So
I think that's an interesting pick. I mean, because you look at Maya, like the 3 guys he's lost to are the champ, the other champ, and then the guy who potentially could be champ after his next fight.
Yeah. You know what? I'm still gonna go with good. I'm gonna go with good.
Right. So this fight, this is the fight I'm most excited for. Jose Aldo and every time I butcher his name every time.
Renato Moicano.
Moicano. I get the Moicano.
Yeah.
Renato. I love watching him fight. I think the last time I watched him fight, he knocked Cub Swanson dead with a stiff jab.
Yeah, I think that was his last one.
After that fight, I said I would never bet against this guy, just because you rarely see a jab just knock a guy completely dead. So who do you have in this fight? Jose Aldo's plus 125 dog, Moicano minus 155 favorite. Who do you like? It's actually pretty close odds for a fight that I think that Moicano will win.
The guy that has clearly given Aldo the most trouble, Holloway, over the years, although McGregor knocked him out too, Holloway really beat Aldo with his length. He was hitting Aldo with more shots at length, and Aldo was trying to more bound in or leap in, and he was getting tired and trying to close that distance while still taking just light damage over and over until it accumulated. I see this fight going the same. I see Moicano. He's also a tall guy. Like you said, he's got a really good jab. He's got a very good leg kick game. I see it going about like the Holloway fights, where he's able to keep Aldo out and wear him down. Now, the fact that Aldo's a dog kind of makes me want to swing his way, but man, that makes that one tougher. I'm still gonna go Moicano. The other thing that's kind of strange about this is, you think Aldo over the main event, Aldo should be the main event. Absolutely. By far. And I heard in a presser or something, Dana White, somebody asked him why isn't Aldo, like they thought maybe it was disrespectful to put him as the co-main, and Dana White said it was actually Aldo's wishes. He didn't want a main event fight, and that's because it's 5 rounds.
Right.
So maybe strategically he took this as a 3-round fight because he's not going to have to worry about the gas tank as much.
Yeah, if you think about those Max Holloway fights, like he looked good until the 3rd round, where Max Holloway basically said, "Okay, 3rd round's when I'm going to put him down." Like if Moicano goes out there with that same strategy, he could potentially lose the fight on a 3-round decision and completely just dominate the 3rd round.
Yeah. Man, I hate picking against Aldo. You just keep thinking of the same Aldo that, wrecked Mendez, and you just think of that killer, the guy that beat Korean Zombie. You think of that guy that was that good for so long. Damn near killed Cub Swanson back in the WEC. Beat up Mike Brown, beat up all those guys. But I think Moicano has stylistically, and of course he's got the youth on him. He doesn't get tired. I'm going to go Moicano here.
If this was a 5-round fight, I say you hammer Moicano.
Yeah. And
but
you say the odds are pretty close, even
pretty
though
close.
Aldo's...
Plus 125 to minus 155.
I won't be surprised if Aldo wins, but it's not as comfortable as a bet as a Moicano win. So if Aldo win, I guess I would be a touch surprised, but it wouldn't blow me out of the water,
Right. So we'll go ahead and head to the main event. Rafael Sunsao, he is the underdog, plus 135 to Marlon Moraes, minus 160. This should be a pretty good fight. Who do you actually like in this fight? I think this would be a tough one to pick.
I'm going to go Moraes. I thought Marlon Moraes won the first fight. I mean, they just fought, I say just, that was 2 years ago at this point. Moraes has been way more active. He's been way more successful. And if you remember, Rob Font in the last Sunsao fight was kind of touching a Sunsao up a little bit, and the Sunsao just took him down and went all wrestling on him. I'm going to go Moraes. I'm going to say a decision. I don't think he stops him or anything, but I think the trajectory of their first fight, I think Moraes has clearly gotten better. That was actually his first UFC fight. He was jumping in against like the number 2 contender at the time. So that split decision was in a 3-round fight where it felt like Moraes was clearly doing enough to win and was winning towards the end, if I remember correctly. So since then, he's beat Dodson, Aljamain Sterling, and Jimmy Rivera. 2 of those were KOs. So I'm definitely going Moraes on this one.
So just to recap, Johnny Walker, Charles Oliveira, Lyman Good as an underdog pick. Then you have Renato Moicano, and then Marlon Moraes.
Yes, sir.
So what else in the MMA world has really caught your eye this week?
Well, the Conor and Khabib, they had their hearings. Conor got like 6 months and $50,000, I believe. So, but he'll be it's retroactive or whatever. So he'll be ready to fight by April. Khabib got $500,000 and 9 months suspension. But if he does a PSA on bullying, a PSA video on bullying for Las Vegas, some program, then he can get down to 6 months.
That's hilarious.
But I think he said no, he's not going to do it. He's just going to pay the money. He doesn't give a shit.
I want to see him and Dylan Danis do a PSA on bullying. And Danis talk about being bullied.
Yeah. And then the other guy that attacked McGregor in the cage got like a full year and some pretty hefty money-wise also, I believe. So I fully expect for us to get a Cowboy-McGregor fight come April or May.
Oh, you think it'll happen that soon?
I think so. I mean, there's no reason not to.
Right.
And Cowboy is not one to wait around a long time either. So.
No. Cowboy's ready to fight him this week.
Yeah. I think that's really the biggest news of the week that I can think of.
Yeah, I really can't think of any other headlines for this week.
Nah.
So anything else before we wrap this bad boy up?
I say if Johnny Walker wins, Leighton's got to do another shot of Johnny Walker.
Yes, that's the deal.
If I'm not mistaken, was that the night that you got sick? That you drank the Johnny Walker?
It was. Yeah.
You had the mystery illness?
Yeah, so Dip is a quick story before we end the show. The night of the Van taste test, it was proper 12 with Jack Daniels and Jim Beam.
It was proper 12, Jameson, and then Johnny Walker.
why Drake decided to pick Johnny Walker out as the third one, I think it was just because
it was available.
It was an odd.
It was
No,
not the shooter.
It was kind of an odd choice.
Well, I already had Jameson. I had Proper 12, and I needed to find a third one. And I was up there at the cabinet, like, and you know, like in Southern Illinois, they don't put the finest tasting whiskeys up there as shooters. Like, these are people that are walking in expecting like they have like $4 in change in their pocket, and they're wanting like 3 shooters. And Johnny Walker just happened to be there.
So anyway,
Red Label.
So I take the 3 shots on the show, and
No. You took the first shot, Johnny Walker, and I thought you were gonna die.
Okay, whatever. The 3 shots got into my body at some point in time during the show. So that was at like, I don't know, 9 o'clock. I go to bed at 3 a.m. Not drunk at all. Just kind of sick. So I get and go to the bathroom and I puke. I'm like, oh, thank God that's over. I turn to walk. So I lied. I also go number 1. Go number 1. It's a rule. Wake up in the middle of the night, get out of bed. Just do it. Just do it. Anyway, number 1. Then I turn to walk out of the bathroom. I just pass out. I cannot. I remember going to my knees because I was dizzy. Next thing I know, I wake up and I'm just laying out on the floor. And my cats are by me.
They're eating you. They're
playing to eat me.
They're trying to figure out what to eat first.
They were sizing him up. Mountain was laying right next to him, seeing if he could fit Leighton in his belly.
I looked at the clock. I was down there for at most like 10 minutes, but I just kind of lay there awake for a little bit too. Like, what the fuck just happened?
That's hilarious.
And then got went to bed. Next day went to work. I was fine.
Yeah. If that doesn't make you bet on Johnny Walker, I don't know what would. If it could bring latency down after 1 shot, imagine what it's going to do to Justin Leddit.
Yeah. Hey, well, I'll show you here in a little bit. So here's what happened there was your body, it tried filtering that through. Your liver was like, we can do this. Then you put that one last Johnny Walker on there, and it just had to purge it out. It just purged it.
It wasn't ready for it.
That was one of the funniest things ever. Because I know I came back over here like for like a weekend show or something, and Leighton was trying to explain to me how he passed out, and I'm like, how did you pass out? Because Leighton's bathroom's not that big. Like, he is lucky that he didn't just like bang his head on his toilet or his sink.
No. Try explaining that to his family. Well, how'd he die? Well,
do you know?
We noticed a ton of, liquor bottles lying around and one shooter of Johnny Walker near his dead body.
Well, I took everything else, so there would have been no evidence. There would have only been one shooter of Johnny Walker laying next to Leighton.
So I didn't tell the whole story. This part kind of forgot about it until he said the bathroom thing. I was dizzy, so I sat down on the toilet to kind of gain myself. Then I fell forward onto the sink, tore the little towel rack off the wall, and fell down. I woke up, the towel rack was off the wall, my entire sink was just, everything was thrown to the floor. So I cleared everything out of the bathroom too. I didn't tell that part, but
that's hilarious.
That did happen.
How about we get... So Red Label's the worst.
It's death.
What's the next label?
I don't know. They have
black label.
They have a black label.
They have
that's
a green
super,
too.
like really expensive.
They have a green too, I think.
One of them's expensive.
We need to look at, because I know some of them, are pretty expensive. So we need to
blind taste test, green label, black label, red label.
Oh yeah.
And then we have to stay the night at Leighton C's house to make sure he doesn't die.
We'll have to have a slumber party and report back to you guys after that show.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's like the meat eater of whiskeys.
Beef eater.
Beef eater. Beef eater of whiskeys.
No, that was
beef eater.
It was rough. I don't even know if I had any. Because I only bought 2 shooters, one for each of you.
Yeah, you didn't try Johnny Walker, man.
No, and I won't. After your experience, there's no way in hell
I've never had that experience before in my life. Or since.
I think you just got a bad batch. That's what we're going to draw it up as.
I've been drunk a lot of times. That never happened before.
How many times have you ever ripped your towel rack off?
That time. I've never passed out before that time.
One time.
Oh, man, that was a good one.
I always got to get into bed.
Yeah, no, you made it there eventually.
Eventually I got to get kicked from the floor first.
Alright, so guys, tune back in. We will have latency live on the show trying green label, black label, red label, every single kind of Johnny Walker you can find.
Wait, we're going to do that?
Yes.
Fuck.
And on that note, for Drake, for Leighton, and Mr. Thomas R. Shackelford, as always, Dippers, stay saucy.